Look around you. The world praises rules. It rewards obedience. It tells you that being good, being nice, being polite is the path to success. But Nietzsche would smirk, because he knew the truth. Nothing great was ever built by a man who stayed inside the lines. What do you admire? Strength? Art? Freedom? Vision? Every person you admire, every genius, warrior, leader, artist, builder, had one thing in common. They broke the rules. Not recklessly, not blindly, but deliberately, with force, with clarity, with fire. The rules were not made for your greatness. They were made to maintain control, to produce safety, sameness, order. But greatness? It is always disruptive, always offensive to the herd, always uncomfortable for the comfortable. You've been taught to obey, to ask permission, to follow the path laid out for you. And now you wonder why you feel powerless, uninspired, small. Here's the truth. If you want to create something admirable, something unforgettable, you must first unlearn your training. You must stop seeking approval and start seeking confrontation. Not with others, but with the fake version of you that obeys out of fear. What you admire was built by someone who didn't ask, who didn't wait, who didn't apologize. And if you want to join them, your rebellion starts. Now, they tell you to be a good man. But what does that mean? To follow the rules? To stay in line? To lower your voice and raise your hand before speaking? Nietzsche called this slave morality, a value system built by the weak to protect themselves from the strong. It praises humility, obedience, guilt, not because those are virtues, but because they keep dangerous. Men tamed. But the world was not built by tame men. The good man in this system is the man who obeys. But the admirable man, the one who bends history, is not safe. He is not good by society's standards. He is dangerous, but self-governed, ruthless, but purposeful, rejected, yet unstoppable. Ask yourself, are you trying to be good or to be real? Because if you want truth, creation, freedom, you must be willing to break the morality that was handed to you, not to become evil, but to rise above the lies. That label rebellion is sin. To build anything of value, you must first betray the system that raised you. Most people are not held back by rules. They're held back by how much they love them. Rules give you cover. When you fail, you blame the system. When you're mediocre, you blame the limits. You never have to risk, never have to think, never have to become. That's why people cling to rules. Not because they're just, but because they're comfortable. Nietzsche wrote, "Freedom is the will to be responsible for ourselves." And that terrifies people, because true freedom requires choice, and choice requires risk. You might fail. You might offend. You might be rejected, but you also might become. You can't worship safety and expect greatness. You can't stay in line and also rise above it. You must choose comfort or creation, chains or conquest. The ones you admire didn't choose safety. They chose fire. They chose exile. They chose truth, even if it cost them everything. And in doing so, they became unforgettable. Want to know why rebels are hated? Because their existence exposes the cowardice of the crowd. The rule breaker becomes a mirror, and most people hate their own reflection. Nietzsche warned of the morality of the herd. A value system built, not on what is true or strong, but on what is popular, easy, and emotionally comfortable. The herd will always choose safety over truth, comfort over clarity, consensus over courage. And when someone dares to rise, to speak, to challenge, the herd doesn't just ignore them. It attacks them. If you break the rules, you won't be celebrated. Not at first. You'll be mocked, rejected, misunderstood. But this is the cost of becoming real, of becoming dangerous, of becoming worthy of admiration. Don't fear the hate of the herd. Fear becoming one of them. You were trained to obey before you were taught to think. Sit still. Don't question. Repeat what you're told. This wasn't education. It was programming. But Nietzsche taught that obedience is not a virtue. It's a submission of the will, a surrender of the self, a form of slow suicide. Those who obey never create, never change, never lead. They become echoes, not voices. Look at the ones who shaped the world. Did they wait for permission? Did they follow the manual? Did they lower their eyes and nod? No. They disrupted. They questioned. They defied. And because of that, they built legacies. If you want to leave a mark, you must kill your need to obey. Not to become lawless, but to become self-governing, guided by principle, not approval. The world does not need more rule followers. It needs more fire starters. To build something new, you must first destroy something old. A mindset, a belief, a rule, a God. Nietzsche believed that all creation begins with transvaluation, the rejection of values that no longer serve life. If you cling to old morality, old systems, old ways of being, you will never give birth to anything real. Every innovator, every visionary, every rebel had to destroy a part of the world that once raised them. This is not hate. It's evolution. Ask yourself, what rules do I still follow that I know are lies? What truths am I avoiding to stay accepted? What limits am I pretending are moral just because I'm afraid to rise? Creation is violent, not with fists, but with thought, with courage, with will. You must kill the false gods within you before you can become something worth worshiping. Not all rebellion is noise. Real rebellion is sacred. It is a form of worship, not of society, but of the self in becoming. Nietzsche believed that rebellion is not just breaking rules, it's breaking illusions, killing the old gods, the inherited truths, the lazy beliefs that keep you docile. Your rebellion must have direction, purpose, depth. The true rebel does not destroy just to destroy. He destroys to clear the ground, to make space for something higher. He doesn't rage blindly. He carves a path through chaos. You want to live with power? You want to create? Then learn this. Your rebellion must be rooted in vision, in truth, in the will to power, not the will to tantrum. You're not here to scream. You're here to build something so strong that the world has no choice but to notice. And that begins with sacred destruction. Here's the truth most won't tell you. Your fear is the exact place you need to go. Not around it, not above it. Straight into it. The ones you admire didn't build legacies by avoiding fear. They walked into it. Fear of being judged. Fear of failing. Fear of exile, of being seen, of standing alone. Nietzsche believed that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. And the only way to master it is to move through it. You fear breaking the rules because you fear being alone. You fear their disapproval, their whispers, their silence. But once you pass through that fear, you become untouchable. The gate is guarded by fear. But beyond it is the version of you that no longer bows, no longer begs, no longer waits. He doesn't exist yet, but you can meet him. If you walk through the fire, fear is not your enemy. It is your map. Let's be clear. To become what you admire, you will lose everything you were trained to be. You will be misunderstood. You will lose fake friends. You will burn bridges that only ever held you back. You will feel pain. You will doubt, but you will also feel something you've never felt before. Realness. When you break the rules, when you go your own way, when you choose power over permission, you finally see life without the filters. No lies, no applause, just raw clarity. And in that place, you don't just survive, you become. Nietzsche warned us. He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imagined, because the higher you rise, the smaller your fears become. But the climb is brutal. The price is high, but the reward? Your soul unchained. They sold you a blueprint. Go to school. Obey the rules. Be nice. Fit in. Get a job. Follow the steps. And one day, maybe, you'll be free. But freedom doesn't come at the end of obedience. It comes when you realize the blueprint was never made for you. Nietzsche didn't follow a blueprint. Neither did the ones you admire. They built their own maps, their own values, their own paths, because they understood that to follow the world is to lose yourself. You are not made to follow. You are made to forge. So stop waiting for someone to tell you what to do. Burn the map. Build your own world, because no one becomes legendary by taking the safest route. Feel bad for thinking differently. Feel bad for questioning. Feel bad for rising. Guilt, that's the leash they tie around your mind. Nietzsche exposed it. Society teaches you to feel guilt not for doing harm, but for doing powerfully. For acting freely. For being beyond their approval. But guilt is only effective if you agree with the values that create it. What if those values were lies? What if guilt is just a virus you inherited? Not proof of morality, but of control. To break free, you must question not just the rules, but the emotions they trained into you. You are not guilty for wanting more. You are not guilty for being different. You are not guilty for refusing to kneel. You are free, but only if you stop asking for forgiveness. Stop waiting for the world to change. You are the change. Nietzsche didn't give us a religion. He gave us a mirror. He told us, if God is dead, it is now your turn to become. You are the one who must create meaning, who must build the new, who must become the fire that burns through this age of weakness. The revolution is not outside. It is inside, in the thoughts you dare to think, the truths you dare to speak, the path you dare to walk alone. Every system wants you docile. Every culture wants you predictable. But greatness begins the moment you say, no, you are not here to repeat history. You are here to break it and rebuild something better. Think of the ones whose names live on. The philosophers, the rebels, the outlaws of thought and power. What made them eternal? They broke the rules. And in doing so, they reshaped the human soul. Nietzsche was hated, dismissed, feared. He died in madness. And yet, his words now awaken millions. Because real greatness isn't safe. It isn't popular. It isn't accepted. It is felt. And long after the obedient are forgotten, the dangerous ones still speak. If you want to leave a legacy, forget the spotlight. Forget the trends. Forget the applause. Live a life that threatens the silence. Here is the only rule worth following. Break the rules that were designed to break you. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need their version of success. You need fire. You need discipline. You need rebellion with a spine. You are not meant to blend in. You are not here to behave. You are here to build something so real, so dangerous, so alive, that the world either bows to it or breaks against it. Nietzsche called for the Bermensch, the one who creates his own values, his own law, his own path. That path is not safe, but it is yours. Walk it. Burn the old. And become the one they cannot ignore. The modern world worships false idols, influencers with no insight, institutions with no soul, rules that preserve mediocrity. They wear suits, preach equality, and silently demand conformity. Nietzsche would spit on this altar. He knew. The gods we are told to kneel before are projections of weakness, created to tame the strong. Be nice. Be normal. Don't make people uncomfortable. This is not moral guidance. This is tranquilization. It kills the will, sedates the soul, and calls it virtue. You were not born to worship man-made gods. You were born to become 1. A god of your own path, a creator of new values, a force that does not beg, but builds, that does not kneel, but commands, but that means killing the current gods. It means daring to say, this world is a lie, and I will not bow to it. You are surrounded by invisible altars, career status, political correctness, comfort, applause, and each one demands your silence in exchange for safety. Burn them. Only when you destroy the idols can you build something sacred, not given, not borrowed, but earned in fire. You were taught to feel ashamed, not for doing harm, but for wanting more. You wanted to stand out. They called you arrogant. You questioned what they believed. They called you dangerous. You felt something deeper. They said you were too much. So you shrank. Nietzsche saw this process. Society doesn't punish the wicked. It punishes the independent. Shame becomes the whip. And you learn to wear your chains with a smile. But shame is not proof of sin. It's proof that you've stepped outside the herd. And that's where power lives. Every time you feel shame for thinking freely, dreaming boldly, or speaking with clarity, stop. Ask, whose voice is this? Whose values am I carrying? And who benefits if I stay small? Shame is the final defense of the weak against the strong. They can't beat you. So they teach you to beat yourself. Break that cycle. You are not made to apologize for your fire. You were made to ignite others with it. Let's end the lie here. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to remake the space you stand in. The world trains you to adapt, but adaptation is survival, not power. Nietzsche saw that the greatest among us don't adapt to their time. They transcend it. They don't wait for the culture to change. They become the culture shift. Fitting in feels good, but only temporarily. It's a sugar high for the soul. But the crash comes when you realize you're living someone else's life, breathing someone else's truth. You'll know you're on the right path when you feel alone, not because you're broken, but because you're becoming whole. Those who fit in are forgotten. Those who stand out are feared, then followed. Stop trying to belong. Start becoming. You're not here to decorate the world. You're here to rebuild it.